Good evening, y'all. I didn't used to say y'all. Y'all taught me that. Everyone say, hey, Lincoln. You know, wave. Lincoln, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. Not today, Dad. No tricks. No tricks for y'all. Y'all excited? All the women. I see a couple gentlemen in the house. Wolfgang, I see you. One, me too. Who else? There he is. Come on. We wanted to learn about. Men have hormones too. We just don't talk about it much. We need to. That's why we have issues. But tonight's gonna be fun. Tonight's gonna be really fun. I'm really excited to introduce you guys to our speakers, Dr. Jessica Lee and Dr. Tiffany Bradley. I could go on and tell you guys all the amazing things they do in this community. I could tell you about the places they go, places of business, and they speak and they bring lunch and they do all these talks. They pour into people at the YMCA. Raise your hand here if they've adjusted you. If they've adjusted you in the office. Yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah, there you go. Me too. They're amazing. They're powerhouses. They're incredible women, incredible doctors. They pour out into people. I think the two words when I was thinking about them earlier today, two things they do more than anyone else I've ever seen is they fight for people. They fight for people and they pour their whole heart into it. Every single time they lay hands on you, every single time they adjust you. You'll see it tonight as they just speak passion and wisdom and encouragement into you guys. But one of the most amazing things I've ever seen them do is take care of my family. It is, there's nothing better. I love taking care of all y'all. That's really fun for me. But to watch them care for my family, I'll let Marissa tell actually this story. And it's part of the amazing way Lincoln came into this world. If y'all didn't get to hear that story, you can tell that story or no? Oh, okay, cool. Well, you can, here you go.
And hi, my name's Marissa. Raise your hand if you've never seen our faces before. Hi. Marissa, this is my husband, Dr. Tom Nixon. We have the honor and privilege of owning Twin City Health. We're a Max Living Health Center here in Winston. We're a chiropractic office, but also teach lifestyle changes. And our mission and hope and goal is really just to empower people to live healthy, awesome lives. And we love it. We think we have the best jobs in the world doing that, except for being parents to this little guy. This is Lincoln. Sometimes he waves, but he's a little tired right now. But yeah, our speakers tonight are Dr. Tiffany Bradley and Dr. Jessica Lee. We love them so much. They're not only both of our chiropractors, but also just really good friends, and they're just as amazing inside the office as they are outside. Dr. J came and adjusted me while I was in labor with this guy last August. And things went from speeding along to very quickly, and if you don't know, he was actually born in our bathroom because we didn't make it anywhere, which is crazy. Yeah, you did. He was almost 2 weeks late and then decided to come fast and furious. So I'm very thankful for them for taking care of me all throughout pregnancy. We trust them with our lives, our family's lives. We love them to pieces. Thank you guys for taking the time to teach this workshop. I didn't get to come here last year because I was about to pop. So I'm excited to be here tonight and just hear all the things that they have to say. Our hope and goal for you guys, anytime we do an event, is that you just walk through those doors with more hope and encouragement and empowerment and education than when you walk through the doors. So hopefully we get to do that. And yeah, we have events all the time. So if you have any questions about anything or want to get plugged into the office with the next things that we have going on, feel free to ask us or come see us at the end. Cool? I think that's all I have to say. All right. Dr. Jessica, Dr. Tiffany, we call them Dr. J and Dr. T. Please come to the stage. Woohoo! Thanks, guys.
Love you guys. Thanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Well, I guess good evening. For those of you who we have not met yet, my name is Dr. Jessica Lee.
And I'm Dr. Tiffany Bradley.
And tonight, we would just love to start with some Max T3. So ladies, I'm gonna have you stand on your feet for me. Dr. T, what exercise are we doing tonight?
We're gonna do fist punches, but don't punch the person in front of you, okay?
Try
you guys
not
got
to
plenty of space.
So if you need to, you are going to spread out just a little bit. Again, don't punch the person in front of you, but all you're gonna do is, Dr. T, can you demonstrate? We're gonna go 10 seconds really hard. And then we're gonna get like a 5-second break, and we're gonna go for another 10 seconds, and we're just gonna get our heart pumping and get the energy up in here. Sound good?
Ready?
All right. 3, 2, 1, and go.
Go.
Punch those arms.
been a long day, guys.
That was good. All right, relax. Woo. I got excited. We went for 11 seconds. All right, 3, 2, 1. Another
Again.
10 seconds.
Yeah.
That's good. And relax. Great job. High five your
Woo.
neighbors. Say awesome job.
Good job,
for being here
guys.
tonight, ladies. Yes. All right. Actually, I'm going to have you stay on your feet. I'm
Stay on
sorry.
your feet.
We're going to stay on your feet. That was my fault. Good. You can stay on your feet.
This is important. So what we're going to do is we're going to speak words of affirmation over ourselves. And that's important because how many of you guys do that already in your daily life?
Ooh, great job.
Awesome. That's good. That's more than I expected. So words have power over your life, and it's more powerful when you do it, when you speak it over yourself. The voice that you listen to determines the outcome of your experience. So let that voice be life, and anchor those affirmations in your heart, and breathe in life when you say these, okay?
So we have a few affirmations for you guys that we're all going to say together. I'll read it first, and then if you guys want to repeat after me, that'd be awesome. Our first one is, I declare miracles for my life.
I declare miracles for my life. The next one is, health flows through my body, healing all disease.
I am constantly discovering new ways to improve my health.
Constantly discovering new ways to. My healing is already in process.
I will not compare myself to other women.
God has given me everything I need for what he's called me to do.
And the last one is, I will fight the good fight for what matters most. Beautiful.
Awesome. You guys can sit down. The reason we wanted you to stand is because the posture with the confidence in saying that, it's just you're physically affecting your body with those words and that posture. So thanks for participating. So we're going to dive right into it. All right. Thyroid. Do we have clickers? Last year, this wouldn't work for me. So in order to know abnormal, we have to know normal. So with thyroid, it's about communication with most things in life. Your brain sends a signal to your thyroid, and that signal is thyroid-stimulating hormone. So it stimulates your thyroid to produce T4. And then your thyroid goes to your T4 goes to your liver to produce T3 and reverse T3. These are the gas and the brakes in every cell of your body. This is where metabolism comes in. So when everything's running smoothly, you have gas and brakes in everyday life in the activities that you do. The problem comes in variation of things. So it could be through diet. You already know, like, okay, I don't want to eat processed foods. They're bad for me. But if you speak an affirmation maybe and say, I choose not to have these foods, that gives you more power over that. And choosing better foods, which we'll go through. Heavy metal toxicity. So as you can see in the picture, like amalgam fillings, I can tell you I've had a filling before, and that's direct toxic from your mouth to your thyroid. Now, you can get those removed these days. They have resin fillings, which are healthier for you. And it's not also a neurotoxin as well. So it affects your nerves. And then high stress with cortisol. Cortisol will steal your thyroid hormones as well. So the more stressed out we are, which we hear that word thrown around so much, and we're going to dive into it later, but cortisol levels, we want them high when they're supposed to be high, which would be during the day, and then low when they're supposed to be low, which is during the evening when you're supposed to sleep. And then the last thing, obviously I'm biased on this, is the nervous system. So you need the electrical system. You need your brain to talk to your thyroid in the sense of keeping that power on, as you guys have all heard. So you see that neck right there in the x-ray. It's supposed to be a C-shaped curve. Everyone shout out what that number should be. Okay.
Good job.
It's not 40 to 45 degrees. It is straight up and down, and that inhibits the brain to talk to the thyroid. That puts pressure on the nerve that comes out and goes to the thyroid, which doesn't allow your thyroid to function the way that it's supposed to. So there's hypothyroid, hyperthyroid, there's Graves', there's Hashimoto's, and these words are thrown around, all through when we're talking about thyroid diseases. Hypothyroid is the most common. About 80% of women and most people diagnosed with thyroid disease have hypothyroid. And generally, most times, hyperthyroid will turn into hypo. The symptoms are listed up there. It's fatigue, thinning hair, dry skin, all over, depression, irregular periods, and so forth. So with hypothyroidism, what your blood work looks like is TSH is high, and then T4 will be low, and then T3 will maybe be low or normal, it depends. TSH is high because your brain, how many people have kids? Okay. How many times have you told them things over and over and over again? Yeah. And then eventually they catch on. Well, your brain is telling your thyroid, hey, make some T4, hey, and it's not listening. It's not listening. That's why T4 is not being made, and it's actually very low. And that's because of those contributing factors that we went over. Also, this is what blood work will look like for most things. It goes through hyper is the first one listed. We'll go over that in a minute. Hypo is what I just went through. TSH will be high and T4 will be low. And then there's Hashimoto's and a secondary hypo where everything is low.
So some solutions for hypothyroidism. We're first going to always talk about nutrition. So if you guys could, or if you know you have hypothyroidism, I would greatly recommend that you reduce your caffeine or limit your sugar intake. So this is even breads, pasta, rices, or any sugary foods or snacks, desserts. Eliminate any soy. If anyone's doing soy, just eliminate that. Increase your healthy fats. So having things like coconut oil, avocados, nuts, seeds, nut butters, salmon. Increasing your healthy fats is actually going to be good for your cholesterol levels. And cholesterol is actually a precursor to hormones, so we actually need cholesterol in our bodies. So that's a really good thing. And then increasing your glutathione. So I wanted to teach you about glutathione because it's this really important thing in your body. They actually call it the guardian of cells. It is a detoxifier. It's a really powerful antioxidant. And the best part is your body actually makes glutathione. The problem happens, though, is as we age, glutathione ends up decreasing. The other thing is having adequate levels of vitamin D. So has anyone ever tested their vitamin D level? Okay, so does anyone know where that level should be? If you're a patient, we've probably taught you this, hopefully, maybe. So yeah, above 70, so 70 to 90 is the ideal range so that your body can produce glutathione, but in that range as well, you also fight off heart disease and even cancer. So if you haven't gotten your vitamin D checked, I do recommend that you do that so that you know where you are. Some ways that you can actually help your body produce glutathione is a herb called milk thistle, which you can get in a tea. Eating foods high in vitamin C and vitamin E. Other things like egg yolks, actually halibut is a good fish to eat. Liver, yuck, but liver. Nuts and seeds are actually be really great as well. So all of these things will help your body produce this really good antioxidant. So increase your glutathione. Some other supplements that you guys can do. The first thing is frankincense. Does anyone have or use frankincense oil? So if you know you have a thyroid issue, you guys have heard potentially to rub it on your thyroid. So your thyroid sits at the base portion of your neck. You can actually rub it into your thyroid, which will help stimulate the release of T4. The other thing you can do is some anti-inflammatories. So this would include things like the omega or a fish oil, turmeric and ginger. So turmeric and ginger are really, really powerful anti-inflammatories. And then some adaptogen herbs, which we will talk a little bit more about later. But rhodiola and ashwagandha are actually going to be really good for your thyroid health.
Thanks. In all transparency, I got my vitamin D done last year, and mine was at 29, I believe. So, you never know what it's at. You got to just boost it up if it's low, and then your immunity definitely is higher for many things, including hormonal cancers, like breast cancer, uterine cancer, and things like that. So vitamin D is very important. We'll mention it a few times. It's almost like a hormone itself in your body. Hyperthyroidism, this is about 20% of thyroid diseases. What the blood work does look like is TSH is low, your brain isn't communicating with your thyroid, and it's gone completely rogue, and T4 is high. So there's no regulation there, there's no feedback loop. And T4 continues to increase your metabolism. This is also, you'll see bulging eyes is a very common symptom of that because of the muscles in your eyes. And also weight loss, twitching, anxiousness, heart palpitations is huge. So sometimes when you experience heart palpitations, we always kind of go straight to panic attack or anxiety and things like that, which it could be, but sometimes if you have a straight neck or a reverse curve for that matter, and then you're on borderline thyroid issues, it's probably your thyroid and you want to get that checked. And another, I think it's the next slide. Another aspect of hyperthyroidism and Graves' disease. Graves' disease means the hypothyroidism is autoimmune. Autoimmune is where your body attacks itself. I'm sure you guys have heard that. The reason it attacks itself is because it starts in your gut. About 70 to 80% of your immune system is housed in your gut. So I'm going to talk about leaky gut in a little bit, but leaky gut is the primary cause of most autoimmune things, lupus, RA, and including Graves and Hashimotos. So you always want to look to the gut when we're working with autoimmune issues. So a goiter generally is when you have low iodine levels. Now, I don't want you guys going out and taking some iodine or eating a bunch of seaweed, which are great ways to get iodine. You would only do this if you know you have a goiter and if you know your iodine is super low.
So some action steps for you guys to actually help fix, this actually applies to hyper and hypothyroidism. So the first thing we do is to fix your curve. So Dr. T was just talking about your cervical curve or the curve in your neck. The reason that you want to fix your curve is because those are the nerves that go to the thyroid, right? So if you're looking at the chart, brain sits up here, right? Brain has to send a signal down that spine, out your nerves for everything to work, right? It says heart, beat, lungs, breathe, thyroid, work, and produce that T4. But over time, what can happen is if you end up losing your curve, so if your curve is unhealthy, like this top one right here, you can see that it's a reverse curve. It's putting more pressure on the nerves going to that thyroid. That means your thyroid over time is not going to work properly, right? And you can imagine you leave that pressure there over time. Is your thyroid going to work better or worse?
Worse.
Worse, right? So you can end up with thyroid issues. So fix your curve is going to be the first one. Again, if you're a patient and you know that you have a thyroid issue, I would actually recommend that you start to increase your traction up to 100. So normally we would do about 60, increase your traction up to 100. And the other thing that you could do to help improve your curve is to do your T-pull more at home for up to 10 minutes. So normally we're at 5 minutes. I'd recommend that you actually increase that time to about 10 minutes.
Which I was actually talking with Dr. Nixon before this, and he said the people who have come to us with a goiter and hyperthyroidism, it has all been resolved when they took care of their nervous system. So that's really encouraging.
Awesome. The next step is doing an at-home iodine test. So number one, yes, you could go get blood work, and that would be awesome, so you know for sure. Number two, you can do something called an at-home iodine test. You go to your local convenience or drugstore, buy an iodine solution. Typically, they're about 2% iodine, so that's normal. And you would create a little 2x2 patch on yourself, just like this shows right here. What you want to see is that iodine patch actually stay there for over 12 hours. That means you are not iodine deficient. However, if that 2x2 patch disappears in under 6 hours, you're mild to moderately severely deficient in iodine. So that means that you should increase the amount of iodine you're getting. And I'll talk about those foods in just a second. The last thing is the frankincense oil, which I just said. Rub that onto your thyroid to actually help stimulate T4 release.
Yeah, and the key is to really massage it in there. It's not just dabbing it on. Just really massage the thyroid to activate it.
So foods to add and foods to take away. Things like wild-caught fish are going to be good, coconut oil. The seaweed snacks that I put on the side are the ones that you can get at Whole Foods, I believe, that don't have any sort of bad oil in them, like canola oil or vegetable oil. It is made with coconut oil. You can also do seaweed if you guys ever go to like a Japanese restaurant and get a seaweed salad. That's really good for you. Probiotic-rich foods like sauerkraut and kefir, high-fiber foods. This would be like chia seeds, flax seeds, even raspberries and blackberries are higher in fiber. Bone broth, and increasing your fruits and vegetables. Things to avoid include calciferous foods. They contain cortisols. So what I want you guys to hear is if you have a thyroid issue, those are the foods that you'd want to avoid. It'd be things like broccoli, cabbage, kale, cauliflower, bok choy.
Bok choy and Brussels, yeah.
Those are things that you would want to avoid eating raw. If you steam them, it will help if you have a thyroid issue. So steaming your veggies will be helpful, not eating them raw. Avoiding conventional dairy, gluten, sugar, refined flour products, and unfermented soy like tofu. If you are vegetarian or you like soy, I recommend natto. It is a fermented soy product, and it's going to be better for your digestive system.
Yeah, natto, tempeh, those are fermented soy products. Next is Hashimoto's. Like I said, that starts in the gut. So, you know, we always say look to the cause, and if the cause is the autoimmunity, then we have to go there first, also while working with the thyroid. About 90 to 95% of hypothyroidism is because of the gut, is because of caused by Hashimoto's disease. So we have an overreaction of the immunity. I'll just explain what leaky gut is really quick because it pertains to this. So you have inside you have intestines where your food's digested, and in your intestines is where your body absorbs all the nutrients from your food that it needs, and even some, you know, that it doesn't need, like sugar. And it eliminates waste from your body. The problem comes in is when we eat things like gluten, soy, and other things that your cells should be like this. They start to open up, and it's called permeability, and they start to open up the cells, and there's gapping in between those cells. Literally, your gut leaks. So now what's supposed to be excreted as waste is going back into your bloodstream, and your body's not sure really what to do with it. It tags it in as an invader, as something that shouldn't be there, and it starts attacking those tissues that it sends it to. Sometimes they're stored in fat cells, and sometimes they attack directly your thyroid. So this would be Hashimoto's. This is a gradual breakdown of the thyroid when the body attacks itself. So blood tests for Hashimoto's, if you wanted to get like a full thyroid panel, it would be the TSH, T4, like free T4, free T3, reverse T3. Those aren't exactly listed, but they're encompassed in T3. And then you want to get also something that would test an antibody test. And there's a few of them out there. The one listed is thyroid peroxidase. We also tell you to get TPO. So these are things that measure the actual autoimmunity within your blood. So we went over what leaky gut is, and that does pertain to other digestive issues. I will talk about acid reflux. This is my favorite subject, in all honesty. I love talking about the gut. If you've talked to me in the office, I may have talked to you a little bit about fasting and stuff. We'll get to that. But
so we're going to talk about gut healing and the 3 R's to heal your gut. The first thing you're going to want to do is remove any irritants. These are things that cause inflammation in your body, and it can actually be foods or pathogens. The second thing we're going to do is restore your gut integrity. And the third thing is you're going to repopulate. Don't mind Dr. T, she's earthing right now.
I'm just going to get comfortable.
The third
if
thing.
I'm going to talk to you, I got to be comfortable.
Sorry, I didn't mean to call you out.
Heels are bad for you.
So the third thing you're going to do is repopulate your gut with a lot of good things. So when I talk about inflammatory foods, again, we've already hit this. If you're a patient in the office, you know what advanced plan is, but you'll want to remove inflammatory foods. So this is white bread, again, rice, pasta, grains, anything that turns into sugar in its simplest form, that's going to be a lot of carbohydrates. You're going to want to remove excess sugar, so things like desserts or sodas. Processed meats aren't going to be good for you. Anything in that bottom corner, which I know we all love because I am right there with y'all. I love donuts, but you're going to want to remove those from your diet.
We're
okay?
all sad that Atelier closed. It's a local bakery.
And then, yeah, someone knows what it is. Okay, and then advanced plan. So you're going to, again, remove all those bad things. We're also going to remove conventional dairy, again, because it's not good for our gut. And if you want to do dairy, goat's milk. Dr. T was teaching me goat's milk is the closest to human milk, so should consume that. And then the last thing is adding more healthy fats. So again, coconut oil you can actually take by the tablespoon every single day. It's good for a multitude of things, even brain health. So start adding in more healthy fats, avocados, raw nuts, and seeds. These are what's gonna help you heal your body. Some other things that you can do actually to remove pathogens, certain foods. So the top, garlic and oregano, my clicker died. Garlic and oregano are actually really good for you. Turmeric is actually
antibacterial.
There we go, antibacterial, that's my word. Turmeric and pineapple are anti-inflammatory, so you'll actually want to juice the core of a pineapple. I know if you ever buy fresh pineapple, a lot of people cut it up and throw out the middle because it's hard. But if you have a juicer, that's where all the bromelain is, and that is where your anti-inflammatories lie. So the core of a pineapple is actually really good for you.
It actually helps with blood as well. So like if there's a clotting issue, bromelain helps thin that naturally as well. Better than taking aspirin.
Beautiful. And then again, my favorite, coconut oil. If you guys haven't told, I love coconut oil. It's like duct tape, right? Okay, and then the supplement that we recommend is artemisia and clove. It's by BioRay. It actually has something in it called black walnuts, and that actually will help you cleanse parasites out of your body. So again, this is the first step in healing your gut. You'll want to actually do this over a week or two, begin changing out your food, start adding in these supplements, and that's what's gonna actually help heal your gut. The second portion is restoring your gut integrity. So after you've done the first step for about 2 weeks, solid 2 weeks, and you're steady with it, you're good at getting all those bad foods out, you'll want to add in things like bone broth. So that's that top picture right there. Bone broth is going to be really great for you. Aloe juice, aloe vera juice is going to be awesome. Foods high in vitamin C. So you guys know citrus is really good, but also actually bell peppers. Red bell peppers are very high in vitamin C. You also have kiwi, collagen. So collagen is going to be in bone broth, but actually doing a collagen supplement will actually help seal up your cells in your gut and help with that gut integrity. And then the last thing, I put Max GI up there because it has digestive enzymes. Digestive enzymes actually help break down nutrients so that we can absorb them better. And it will actually, again, digestive enzymes will help kill pathogens in our body, help kill actually bacteria and foreign invaders, which is pretty cool.
Another thing about vitamin C is generally most people who have leaky gut, which is probably about 90% of the US population, you'll be vitamin C deficient. And same thing with people who smoke as well. The leaky gut actually robs that vitamin from you. So drinking things like citrus, like she said, citrusy things, the red bell peppers, eating those. But drinking, just a simple thing you can do is just drink lemon water every day. And that's something that detoxifies your liver as well. And it will help bring those cells back together and lessen that permeability in your gut. So, liquid gold, that's what bone broth is. So there's different kinds of bone broth. Has anyone ever made bone broth?
Great
Awesome.
job.
Good. There's different types. I've made beef bone broth before. The beef bones are actually thicker. They have more marrow in them, so it's just easier because I feel like I get more. You can do chicken broth. You can do turkey broth. I've even heard of someone doing fish broth where they had fish bones, but they probably had to use a lot of bones from the fish. That I don't recommend. I just have heard of that, but that's because they didn't eat meat for like many years. So definitely go to the animal products. When it comes to buying your bones, if you are gonna make it at home, make sure they're quality animals. Because remember, we always say this, you eat what they ate. So you don't want a conventional cow, you want a grass-fed and possibly a grass-finished cow, if that's an option. Also, you want chickens who ate not necessarily grain, but they grazed on the grass, pasture-raised chickens, and so forth. The benefits of bone broth go beyond just the gut. They go and they benefit your joints. It will help seal your gut. It also boosts your immune system. Again, we're working with the gut, so immunity. So when you're sick, it's kind of like, this has been around for a long time. And this is where soups come from. So when you're sick, obviously drink it. I believe I read somewhere that bone broth started with our ancestors when they were cooking something over a fire, like food over the fire that they had caught. And in that time, you didn't waste anything. So they would catch the drippings over turtle shell, and they would drink the marrow out of the bones of the animal that they were cooking. So I'd like to read that stuff, but it's kind of cool. Collagen, so what bone broth has that is beneficial pertaining to the gut and joints would be collagen. That's also good for skin and hair. And the next few things I'm gonna list are amino acids, so they're building blocks for life. Proline is also in it. That's good for skin, hair, joints, and it also is a precursor to collagen. Glycine, that's an antioxidant and helps improve sleep, and it actually helps with DNA processing. So when you're developing in the womb, that would be good. So good for pregnant women to drink. Glutamine, it builds muscle, so good after a workout, and then restores the gut lining as well. And arginine also aids in digestion and helps break down other foods that need to be broken down further. So all the things that you would buy for like your joints and your gut health, like these supplements at Vitamin Shop or wherever, you can truly get that in 1 cup of bone broth. And if you need to heal your gut, this is something that I would definitely suggest, like drinking it like coffee, like 1 cup a day will definitely your body will start to react and you'll start to even feel better. So bone broth's great. There are other sources up there. That's the first like homemade one. There are other sources if you haven't tried it before and you want to try it. Whole Foods has Kettle and Fire is the brand name, and then also Epic. And they're good quality bone broths that I found. They just have like 1 serving at a time. And Dr. Axe has a powdered bone broth. Have you tried it?
I have tried one of his very first original collagen powders.
I've never tried powdered bone broth. I'm sure they're good. I wouldn't necessarily put it in a smoothie. Did you like it, Miss Faye? Okay. Faye's approval. So the bone broth, it is very convenient. So that would be the plus to that. And it still has all those great benefits as if you made it at home. Was I gonna mention Vital Proteins is another brand around town that you can find at some drugstores as well. Oh, sorry.
That was me. I got it. Okay, so the third and final step you are going to do to heal your gut. Again, each phase is about a week and a half to 2 weeks, or a week to 2 weeks. So the third thing you're going to re-inoculate or repopulate or replenish your good bacteria. So you're actually going to add some prebiotic-rich foods, which prebiotics will actually help feed your probiotics and protect them. And then probiotics. So a good prebiotic is actually salad. So eating a salad before your meal will actually help you pre-digest and absorb some better nutrients. But this also includes things like chicory root. Has anyone ever had chicory root?
Not me.
No? Okay, so fun facts. It kind of tastes like coffee. So if you ever try to get off coffee, you can try chicory root, and it's a good alternative. But that's a really good prebiotic. You also have things like leeks and potatoes, sweet potatoes, apples, onions, garlic, berries, again, citrus fruits. These are good things that will help you protect your probiotics. And then after that, you're going to do some probiotics. So things like apple cider vinegar, kimchi, sauerkraut, like these are really good things. Actually, I think it's 4 tablespoons of sauerkraut has 1 trillion probiotics in it. And if you've ever seen probiotics on the shelves, they go up to maybe 70, 80 billion units. So eating real food will help you out more.
If you don't like sauerkraut, learn to like it.
Yes. Some other things that you can do though is actually drink kombucha and kefir. I don't love kefir, but I know Marissa does because it's like a sour yogurt, not a fan. But if you like kefir, it's really great for you and it will help heal your gut. And so will kombucha. Kombucha, anyone? Who tried it from Kim the other night at Ladies' Night? Anyone?
Okay.
Couple people.
Wait, hold on a second. Who makes it?
Oh,
okay.
1 hand.
Close.
Good job.
Did you say what is that? So, it's ferment. Isn't it Miss Maddie? Okay. It's hard to see over there. Kombucha is fermented tea. So you can use black tea, green tea, and what they do is you actually ferment it with sugar because the live probiotics in there eat the sugar. They ferment it, and sometimes they're flavored. Sometimes they'll put like a fruit in there or ginger even, which is great. So that's basically what it is. And it's easy to make. It's just getting started. You would have to let it sit for a little bit, but
takes a little time. Diane, you had a question? Can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
She asked if you can use decaf tea, which you can. But some good benefits, again, it helps promote digestion, can actually help you get rid of candida and yeast, improve energy levels. It can actually help stabilize with mood. So there's a lot of really good benefits to kombucha, and this is actually more available in grocery stores now than it was before, or at least I see it more these days. You can also do fermented veggies. If anyone ever ferments their own veggies, that's awesome, but you can definitely do that. And even some forms of dairy are fermented. So you want to go with the raw dairy, though, which our state is not technically a raw state, but if you can find raw milk and raw cheese, which there is raw cheese at Trader Joe's and I believe Whole Foods, you can find raw cheeses, and those are okay for you.
Raw cheeses still have the digestive enzymes in there, so they're easier on your gut. They're non-homogenized and they're non-pasteurized, made from that kind of milk. And then I was going to also say, when it came to kombucha, we also tell people, like, if you're trying to get off a soda, kombucha would be a good option, alternative to that, because it kind of has a little fizziness to it because of the fermentation. This is Amber, and I want to read you her story. Does anyone in here know Amber?
Yay!
Yeah. She's an amazing woman, and I'm just going to read you what was written because I couldn't explain it better. Amber was diagnosed with 2 autoimmune diseases, celiac and Hashimotos, an overactive pituitary making her hormones absolutely crazy, and was on metformin for insulin resistance and diabetes. In addition, her menstrual cycle, she had crazy menstrual cycles and had PCOS. She reached a point where she was seeing 3 to 4 different specialists and doctors and was told to watch and wait. And she was also developing another autoimmune disease. She also had abdominal and joint pain her whole life, including when she ate meat. She had anaphylactic reactions to it and other food allergies. Her doctors told her that this was her new normal. She owns 2 salons in town, and her ability to work her career was diminishing. That's a lot. That's just a lot. She had already been incorporating healthy foods and supplements into her daily life, but once she started care with Twin City Health and started getting chiropractic adjustments, it was like the missing piece to her health. Finding that she had scoliosis directly affecting the nerves that go to her abdomen and her thyroid. Since starting care, she's off thyroid meds, metformin, the medicine that she was taking for her crazy pituitary gland. She no longer is allergic to red meat, and she has way less other food allergies. On top of that, she goes days and sometimes even weeks without tummy aches. What she says is, I feel so much better that my sickness and autoimmunity do not ruin my life anymore, and they don't define me. Give it up for Amber.
The awesome thing about stories is if you guys know that somebody else has done it before you, the cool thing is that you know you were made good and that you can do it too. So, yeah, good job to Amber.
That shows your body has the ability to heal. Like, you are made that way. Which is amazing. Our bodies are like little planets. We're still discovering new things about them every day, and that's just something so incredible about your own self. I want to show you Amber's x-rays, because I want to show you we aim for that 40, 45, and we aim for perfection, but the whole point is to get the pressure off those nerves so everything, all those organs can function. So this is Amber's low back. You're basically looking through her from the back, and this is her right, and this is her left. The one on the left is when she first came into us. That's her spine in the middle. That should be straight. That should be 0 degrees. I don't know if you can see it, but in the middle, it was 9 degrees off. She didn't even know she had that curve. When it's 9 degrees off, if you look exactly where that is, and if we were to go back to the chart that Dr. J had up, and we go to those nerves at those levels, that's directly your digestive system, your small colon, your large colon, like your bladder, all those nerves are being impacted by the pressure right there. On the right is Amber's x-rays after, I believe, about 4 months, and she went from 9 to 4 degrees. She's working her way to 0 degrees. She lost 5 degrees in the right direction. That's all she needed for her gut to start operating completely. She's functioning 100%. You don't even need numbers. You can see she's straighter. Her neck, when she first came in, she had a little bit forward head posture like this. At the bottom of her neck, it was going the opposite direction. It was in the negatives. At the top of it, it was pretty straight. It was about, we broke up the numbers. And then after the 4 months of care, she went to the 23.8 degrees, and her head's not as much like this. It's more better posture. So those are the nerves that are directly affecting her thyroid. So she's functioning and operating better. She feels amazing. Just to see her come in the office, and she's lit up, and she's so full of hope and joy, and she's so grateful. So it makes us really excited to share that. Adrenal function is directly related to thyroid, like I referred to cortisol levels earlier. Your adrenals are actually located above your kidneys right back here. They're two little organs above your kidneys. And they actually are a hormone center. They produce a lot of hormones, including those hormones that make you, if you've ever heard of fight or flight, the stress hormones, they're there for protection, but they're not there to be turned on all the time. So norepinephrine, epinephrine, and cortisol is the main one that we talk about. So a way to check your cortisol levels is you would take your armpit temperature, your auxiliary temperature, and you would take a whole day from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. Every hour, you take your temperature. Normal is 97.8 to about 98.2. That's because it's not what you normally hear as normal because it's external. Normally, we take our temperatures in our mouth. So this is testing chronic fatigue. This is testing, when you get that 3 o'clock rolls around and you're tired, you're reaching for more coffee or something like that. You're also looking to see if there's drops. Normal is the very top one. Normal, when you wake up, your cortisol level should start to rise. It gets you ready for the day. It gives you more energy. And then as it's time for bed, they should start to go down. The problem comes in is when you either get dips or it rises and it dips down and you get fatigued again and it goes back up, or when it's too high at bedtime and then you just can't sleep and you're tired the next day because you can't go to sleep the night before. Or the bottom graph is where you just don't, your cortisol levels don't ever rise, meaning your temperature is below the 97.8 and you just don't even get there, and that's been that way a long time. So fixing these things like we talk about, you may need a supplement to help you out until your body can catch on while you're healing. You may need a little energy in that time. But that's cortisol is stealing the precursors to what make your thyroid hormone. So we want to keep that where it should be, because then your thyroid hormones are low. Next, we're going to talk about estrogen dominance. And as you see, estrogen dominance has a lot to do with the things we're talking about, with Hashimotos, thyroid, hormonal cancers, autoimmune things. And that's because, excess estrogen, when it's related to the thyroid, it actually inactivates your active thyroid hormones. So this is going to make you sluggish and moody and give you thyroid symptoms. What estrogen dominance is, let me see if I have okay. Estrogen dominance means estrogen's dominating over progesterone. So in order to know what that is, let's go through normal again. So estrogen, this is a normal cycle for us ladies. So the little tan line in the middle is ovulation. At ovulation, estrogen is where it's at its highest, and this is so your ovaries can toss an egg over to the fallopian tubes. Then estrogen kind of comes down a little bit, and progesterone goes higher. And progesterone is what makes the home for the egg. So that's where, uterine lining bulks up, and then if the egg never gets fertilized, you either menstruate, or if it does, you have pregnancy. They're a teeter-totter. Estrogen, progesterone, one's high, one's low. That's just how it is. The problem comes in is when we're exposed to things that are going to raise our estrogen rates. And I believe that a lot of us have high estrogen and we don't know it. We just have symptoms, and of course, when we go to the doctor, we get our symptoms treated. High estrogen can come from hormonal replacement. It can come from birth control. It can come from fake estrogens, which we'll go through here in a minute. And estrogen's even important. I start off here at childbearing age because it has a huge impact when we get to menopause too. So fake estrogens are called xenoestrogens. What they do is if you see in the picture, estrogen has a little receptor on every cell, and then a xenoestrogen, which is a fake estrogen, will come along and steal its spot. And so estrogen stays high in your bloodstream. If estrogen stays high, then progesterone doesn't get a chance to come up and help regulate cycle. So in childbearing age, what this looks like is heavy cycles, or even super light ones, or missing them. It's infertility, it's endometriosis, it's fibroids, uterine fibroids, even fibroids on your breasts, cysts, things like that. That's excessive estrogen because those things don't belong there. So where are these that we're getting them and they're so prevalent? They're in so many things, but don't get discouraged because there's always things that we can switch to, okay? So food, commercially raised animals like we talked about earlier, they actually have a lot of fake estrogens because you're eating the muscle of those animals, which stores hormones. So you don't want a cow that ate corn, you want the grass-fed cow. You want healthy hormones that you intake. Pesticides, the things that they spray things that they spray the veggies with, those have xenoestrogens in them. Some tap water, BPA, so plastics. Try your best to get either BPA free, or the worst thing is if you had like a plastic bottle and you left it out in the summer in your car or something, and then the heat goes from the plastic bottle into the water, and then if you bring it back in the house and it cools off and you drink it, the BPA has gone into that water. I'm not trying to gross you. I see you guys making faces. I'm not trying to gross you. I used to live in Florida. I had friends that did that all the time. So I lived in Florida and then I surfed. So when you got done surfing, you'd be thirsty. So I've seen it. That's why I mention it. Of course, we just want to be more aware. So having stainless steel or glass bottles or even the BPA-free bottles are always a better option. Cosmetics, so our makeup. We have, 12 more personal products or something than men?
Yeah,
a day.
ladies on average use about 12 personal products a day, whereas men only use like 5 or 6.
Yeah, so we're putting many things on our skin, lotions, deodorants, even up here it talks about toothpastes. I mentioned the hormonal stuff. And then heavy metals. If it's not the amalgam fillings, like I know there's a few people that I've talked to in the office that work at like power plants. They're also even found in canned things. So try your best to buy veggies and fruits and things not from a can, but as best you can from, actually fresh. So I kind of went through some of the symptoms. Weight gain, depression and anxiety is definitely a big one when it comes to estrogen dominance, and that is because it's hard to control the hormones. It's hard to control how you feel because your cortisol is going high, your estrogen's high. These all actually interact together, and then it starts affecting the way your brain is. I'm gonna preface this really quick. Don't play it yet. Last year, we had someone come up on stage when we did this women's wellness, and her name was Natalie, and we figured, she tells her testimony so well that we wanted her to tell it again this year. So we have a clip of that. Did you want to say anything about Natalie?
No, I will let her talk and then...
Yeah, she had estrogen dominance.
I'll get it. We'll start in a second.
Yeah, so when I was 16, I was diagnosed with endometriosis, and they told me I would never be able to have kids. So when I was 18, I started having surgeries every 6 months for my endometriosis. When I was 19, I ended up with interstitial cystitis, which 70% of endometriosis people get interstitial cystitis. They're not exactly sure the length, but that happens. And so I was just kind of fed up with things and having surgeries by the time I was 20. Also, when I was 19, I was diagnosed with a tumor on my bladder and had that removed and went through 18 months of chemotherapy. So when I was 21, I decided that this was crazy, and I did a lot of research and found out that diet was a lot of what was some of the causes, we thought. So I cut out a ton of things, any kind of artificial coloring and preservatives, and basically ate whole foods, and my interstitial cystitis was completely taken care of. I didn't have any other surgeries or procedures with it. I wasn't on any medicines. And then I was looking into essential oils and all that stuff. Well, so here I am at 28. I've been on birth control for my endometriosis for 17 years. And I was concerned because if you have ever been on birth control, they say if you're on it for more than 15 years, you can have blood clots, you can have this and that. And I just got really nervous. Clearly, this isn't good for me. I've been on it long enough. I want to get off of it. I was also in the process of getting engaged and thought, well, maybe I can have kids. We'll see. Doctors don't know everything. So I went off the birth control and tried to get healthy in that aspect, and a year later, no period. And I'm like, oh my goodness, something's wrong with my body. I'm using all these essential oils to help me, and still nothing. I just don't know what to do, and so I'm researching, and I've heard about Maximized Living before from friends I had been before, and I wasn't sure what it was about. I was nervous, but I thought, you know, this is the last thing I know what to do, so I just did it. I went in and talked to Dr. Nixon and started on my course. Within a month, I had my first period. 2 months later, I had another one, and I was excited. And so I had these x-rays at 4 months, and I even went and got my labs drawn from a doctor. And all my life, my thyroid has been borderline hyperthyroid. My thyroid was in the right in the middle, or more in the middle of what it should be. And my cholesterol was always a little high, even though I worked out all my life and now ate healthy most of my life. And I was like, I just don't get it. How do I get this cholesterol where it's supposed to be? And 4 months of getting adjusted, it was normal. It was right where it was supposed to be. And I was just so blown away. And then literally a month later, I was pregnant. And the best thing is, it was twins. So I have 2 twin girls, and they have been the biggest blessing, and I've continued to go and get adjusted throughout pregnancy, and I had a great labor. Very rarely can you deliver twins naturally, and I was able to do that. A lot of twin pregnancies, their milk dries up within 5 months. They're 8 months old, I've been able to feed them, plus I've donated 7.5 gallons of breast milk to local families. Still going strong, and I just can't imagine what life would be like without Maximized Living. It's changed my life.
Cool. So some awesome things about that story. Natalie is amazing, and that story is so awesome because she does have twins. The entire family now still gets adjusted. But the cool part was that was a whole year ago, 18 months. I think the twins just hit about 18 months or so, and she was still feeding up to 18 months. And she has donated over 23 gallons locally and to friends and family, 23 gallons of milk, which is so huge. So that's awesome. I just want you guys to notice and realize we love sharing stories because, number one, they're powerful. But number two, we want you guys to realize that your body is good and it was made whole with everything that you guys need. It's not myself, it's not Dr. T, it's not Dr. Nixon that is fixing anything. We're just helping you guys bring out the best potential in yourselves, okay? So I want to talk about
your own doctor. That's why you're here.
Some things that we want to talk about that we want you to avoid when you're looking at personal care products. There's a lot of words over here, but these are some of the top words that are really bad. So if you're looking at your personal care products, it's kind of like when you're food shopping and you're looking at labels, you always want to look at the ingredients, right? So that's a list of the bad things that you don't want to see. Sulfates, sodium lauryl sulfate or sodium laureth sulfate is a really bad thing. Parabens, talc, trilociclan, and parabens have actually been shown and linked to different kinds of cancers, specifically breast cancer. And a lot of the other ones, like the BHA, the DEA, and the fragrances have actually been linked to like liver and kidney and actually eye diseases and stuff like that. So just try to remove as much things as you can. So I put a list over here that I found that I really enjoyed. 5 tips on choosing safe cosmetics. The first thing is asking yourself, do you really need all these products? Is there maybe 1 or 2 things that we can remove from our daily, wake up and beautifying yourself in the mornings? Routine. Is there anything that we can remove? The second thing is keep it simple. So when you're looking at that ingredient list, try to keep it as short as possible, or at least be able to read and or pronounce most of the ingredients. The third thing is avoid fragrances. So again, this is one of the top toxic things, is any sort of fragrance in there you want to avoid, because that just means there's extra added chemicals. There's no regulation on what fragrance actually means or how many different chemicals are in that fragrance. Number 4 is understanding the label. So again, flipping it over, typically there are a ton of words on there. Some of them I can't even read. So just making sure that you understand, hey, this product has a lot of things in it. What can I do, or which ones are bad for me? And then the last thing is getting crafty. So if you guys were at Ladies Night, there's a lady in our office named Kim who does Spicewood Farms. She actually makes some natural things. My mom actually loves to make like lotions and healthy lotions for me and stuff like that.
Bombs.
So moms, they're great. You ladies, you're great. You're all moms and stuff like that. Or you have mom. So, but yeah, getting crafty. There is actually Dr. Axe and Wellness Mama actually have recipes that you guys can actually use to make your own, like laundry detergent, or they actually have one for sunscreens, lip balms, all sorts of things. So if you guys have the time, go look at it. Some of them are actually pretty simple. Some of them are a little bit more complicated.
And when it comes to like that stuff, if you have a question, you can always bring it in and we'll talk to you about it, or even a supplement when we talk about quality supplements. If you have a question about an ingredient, or you have a question if it's good, you can bring it in and we'll talk to you about it.
So here are some products that we use at the office or as a team we've used before. So Acure is a shampoo and conditioner that is really great for you. Jason's toothpaste, if anyone has ever used that. Badger is a really great sunscreen, but it does not absorb very well, so just so you guys know. It sits on top of your skin a little bit. Green Shield Organic, again, Ecos is something you can find actually, I think even at the grocery store these days and stuff. Walmart, there we go. Walmart has some of these things now. And then up in the top corner, diffusing essential oils instead of burning toxic candles from Bath and Body Works and so forth, just replacing things. So it's all about replacing instead of just throwing everything out at once, which you can totally do that if you want. Throw everything out at once. Might be a little not cost effective to do that. So replacing one item at a time, like when you run out of your laundry detergent, just replace it with something better. When you run out of toothpaste. What's that, Maddie? What's that? So all these products, if you can see that bottom corner, you can find them at Whole Foods. Actually, I've actually seen Jason's and a few other good toothpastes, even at TJ Maxx. In that section, Costco has a lot of these. Amazon, VitaCost is a really great website that sometimes has discounts. And then a really good app that you guys can download when you are in stores, this is what I love, is apps these days are pretty amazing. This one is called EWG. And their website is right here, EWG.
If you're taking notes, I would write that down for sure.
It's a really good website where you guys can actually go on and type in your products and see how clean they are or not. There's also another app, I'm gonna switch it, called Think Dirty that does the exact same thing. You can actually go into a store and scan it, and it will pop up with any ingredients that are bad, like this one says fragrance is bad, right? Versus a good product that's gonna show up with a lot of green in it. So you can always go through the store too and actually scan it and pop it up. This app is called Think Dirty. So an estrogen detox is what we're gonna talk about. Again, all of us have been exposed to excess estrogen. And if you never detoxed before, it's actually a really good idea to detox. You've gone probably 20, 30, 40 years without ever doing it. So now would be a good time, right? So let's take some action. The first thing you're gonna do is remove any toxic products, things that we just talked about, and begin replacing them with better ones, okay? The second thing is the detox system at the office. There is a cellular detox and a full body detox. There's charcoal in it, activated charcoal, which will actually help draw out stuff. And then our detox specifically is also designed to help replenish your glutathione stores, which I talked about earlier. Taking a B complex at the same time that you're doing this will actually help your body just get rid of any excess estrogen. And then the last thing you guys can do is cleaning up your nutrition. So even switching over to more organic foods, if you guys haven't heard of the Dirty Dozen versus the Clean 15, you can look up those foods, which ones to buy organic versus which ones you can buy conventional that won't be as heavily sprayed with pesticides. And then switching your meats as well. So buying grass-fed beef, wild-caught fish, or free-range or pasture-raised chicken.
I think Costco is one of the best options. If you have to buy in bulk, they have a lot of organic things these days compared to the other wholesale stores. So,
is Candy actually here? Did she make it? No. Okay. So this is Candy. So this is a picture of her. She came into the office originally in 2016 for 11 years of frequent migraines. I think she said she had them like 2 to 3 times per week. Over 11 years, which is a really long time to deal with migraines. She also had digestive issues, back pain, and very low energy. Her migraines actually ended up going away within like 4 months of being in the office, which is great, right? When things go away and you're feeling great, you kind of forget to do the things that were making you feel good in the first place. So Candy actually ended up going away from the office for about a year. Just recently, earlier in 2018, started coming back in again, because guess what started coming back just a little bit?
Migraines.
Her migraines started to come back, right? So not as bad as before, but she did have experienced 1 or 2 migraines. And she also just wanted to completely jump all in. She said, I did this before, I know it worked, so this time I am gonna jump all in and do this 100%. So Candy is amazing because she came to our retreat. So we just had our second retreat in April, where we spent a lot of times in the woods, just connecting with not only one another and community, but also to our healer and our great one above us. And she told me she had trouble losing weight too. But the great thing about the retreat was, and if you guys come on the retreat, is we actually provide you guys with all food and also non-toxic products. So you get to try out all these beauty products if you want to. So Candy was able to do that. Even makeup, she was able to try out makeup and stuff like that. And she really loved it. So she was the one that actually went home literally after 2.5 days and threw out everything in her medicine cabinet, whether it was makeup or shampoo or anything like that. I'm sure it cost her hundreds of dollars to replace everything. But she was like, I am all in this, because she has done a lot of things to try to lose weight and just was not able to. And then after that, we had the detox seminar. Anyone at the detox seminar? And did so you guys did the 10-day detox, wow, tongue twister, detox with us, where she was juicing and stuff like that. And this is her maybe 2 weeks ago. She lost 18 pounds since May. She's doing amazing, no more migraines. Her low back pain is gone. She has more energy than she's ever had before, and she's just crushing life. So again, stories are powerful because you guys have the ability to do this too. It's all about taking action. That's what we want from you guys tonight.
Menopause. It is hot in here, isn't it?
Hot flashes. That's what I'm having.
I think it's hot. If you're estrogen dominant and you don't know it, and then you go your life, and then you get to a point where you hit a change, which, by the way, is not a disease, because I feel like some of the medical community will tell you, oh, this, it's medicalized. And it breaks my heart, because this is just something that happens in us. Your estrogen will decrease. The problem is so you're estrogen dominant, so your estrogen's up here, because it's stayed up here, and it may have come down, but it's high. And when you hit menopausal age, or you start, your periods, your menstrual cycles start decreasing, you drop, and you drop severe. And the symptoms are severe. Now, this isn't everyone, because we actually had a few patients who were 80s, 70s?
Probably in their 70s or 80s.
And I don't remember who it was, but I think they grew up on a farm, so they ate good. They labored, so they're physically active. They didn't have, they cleaned their house with vinegar. They didn't have all the other products that we use. So they weren't exposed, their lifetime, they weren't exposed to all those other things. Because they're like, I think 1 or 2 people, they're like, I didn't have those severe symptoms when I hit menopause. It just was natural. Because severe symptoms are so common now. So when you have that high estrogen, you have a severe drop. So if it was normalized, your estrogen would be here, and it would have a slight drop. And you may have symptoms, but it's not as severe, because when I do this, it's severe. So this is what comes into play. Yes, hot flashes. Yes, night sweats, dryness. There's a lot, again, moodiness. All these things can happen in this change. And let's see what I have next. So that's why it's still important, even though, I've heard people say, well, I don't have estrogen anymore. You still always have a little bit. It's just how drastic is it dropping. So these are things that will make specifically hot flashes worse. They're not the symptom of it. They'll make it worse. Excessive sugar, caffeine, alcohol, so forth. Even doing hot things like the sauna. Next. Miss Natty. But there are various things you can do for those things. For example, if you have night sweats and they are that severe and they wake you up, night sweats. Goodness gracious. You can have like a glass of water by your bedside, which is good to do anyway, so you can drink it in the morning and hydrate. But if you do have a night sweat or experience that, keeping that water there and drinking it that time of the night and then trying to go back to sleep, it's just something to help your body deal with that hormone and cool off. We've already talked about eliminating those endocrine disruptors, Xenoestrogens, all those things. You can Google some of them. There's other names out there for them. But yes, we want to clean through that stuff. Like I mentioned, not just drinking half your body weight in water, but getting that citrus, like drinking lemon water will help you detox. It helps you lose weight. It will also help those menopausal symptoms as well, because it's going to help your body handle the estrogen drop. Because this is why people go on hormone replacement therapy, right? Because it's so intense. So what hormone replacement therapy does is it's going to help bridge the gap. So if you're normal, you're down here estrogen-wise, that slope. But if it's so severe, and there is hormone replacement therapy for other things. I'm not talking about like cancers and stuff. I'm just saying to eliminate the severity of it, we'll do that because we'll enter in more hormone to help deal with those symptoms. But that's not as natural either. And then also practicing intermittent fasting and exercise. I'm going to jump to exercise. We talk about Max T3 in our office. What's it stand for?
Time, tempo, and type.
Time, tempo,
3
and type.
Ts.
Dr. J just taught me that. And then that's based off the high-intensity interval training. So it's one thing to go to the gym and be on the treadmill for an hour, but it's another thing to do those intervals, to do like we just did, when we did it before we started talking, is the 10 seconds on, 10 seconds off. And when you're on, you're going 100%. What that does is it increases your growth hormone. The growth hormone that all the kids have at their highest level, because that's what they need to grow, and it tapers off as we age. And age isn't the problem. The problem is our lifestyle. The problem is, how we live. So what we want to do is we want to balance the hormones. Growth hormone helps us do that. So it keeps you feeling good, it keeps you looking younger, and you can do that through that high-intensity workout. And it's only you can do it from 6 to 12 minutes a day. It's quick. And then intermittent fasting. Fasting actually shows that it balances your hormones. It also balances the hormone that makes you hungry and the hormone that tells you to stop eating, because sometimes those are off balance too, and that's for another talk, not tonight. But they also help balance estrogen, progesterone, cortisol levels. So if you've never tried fasting, intermittent fasting is a good way to ease yourself into it. Do I have a slide on fasting? Intermittent fasting, the definition of that would be going about 16 hours without food and eating for 6 to 8 hours. And in that time that you're eating, it would be eating high fats. So you would want to eat all those healthy things that we've talked about, raw nuts. If you're going to have a salad, put some, salmon on it or something like that. And in that time, you're going to try your best to eat then, and then fast throughout the night, and usually fast breakfast because it's easy when you wake up. But I would say a good time example would be 12 to 7 of eating and then fasting the rest of the time. I'm actually going to do a talk about that in the office. So like I said, fasting will be more of another talk. Balancing hormones through supplements again. High fats, I don't think I've mentioned ghee before. Have you guys ever heard of ghee? Okay, it's clarified butter, and it's lactose-free, so you don't have to worry about that if you do have food allergies. And it actually has a higher threshold with heat, so if you wanted to cook with it over butter because you're cooking something that needs higher heat, this would be your go-to. It still has all the benefits of those healthy fats, and it actually has a, I don't want to say like a, not a smoke flavor, but maybe like a nut flavor to it. It just brings out more of a smoke flavor, I guess I would say. Oh, and then I included the chart for the vitamin D. I'm just going to point out the second column, I can't see, is the endocrine society, which endocrine is hormone. That endocrine society does say that the optimal level is, they say 30 to 100. It's always best to be about 70 to 100 when it comes to that vitamin D.
So again, vitamin D is going to be really important to help balance out your hormones. It is a pre-hormone that will help you produce other hormones. Something else is omegas. Our optimal omega has something in it called GLA, so that stands for gamma-linolenic acid. And that's actually really important for you guys to help balance out your hormones. So if you ever go and look for a fish oil, just make sure it has GLA in it. That's the important thing. We'll talk about the adaptogen herbs in just a minute, so the maca root and the holy basil. Exercise, Dr. T just talked about max T3, time, tempo, type of the high-intensity multi-joint movements. You'll want to do this start with at least twice a week, maybe work your way up to 3 to 4 times a week to help balance your hormones. Again, it doesn't take long. You can do it literally first thing when you wake up, although you might be a little bit dragging, but that's okay. By the end of it, you should be sweating and awake. But it's really good for you. Again, start with maybe twice a week if you're not used to exercise. And then, something I wanted to mention about hot flashes earlier too, is there are also 2 herbs that are really good for that. Evening primrose oil is something that's really good. And then the other thing is black cohosh. Both of those are supplements or herbs that you can get. If you have any sort of liver disorder though, you don't want to do black cohosh, but those help with hot flashes. And so when it comes to adaptogen herbs, what we mean is these herbs actually help your body adapt to certain stressors, and they actually help promote healthy hormone production. So things like holy basil is actually anti-aging, is actually also really good for helping balance blood sugar levels and can help with anxiety.
And then the next one's ashwagandha, which is also in our Max Fit. If you guys have ever taken Max Fit, it helps balance blood sugar levels, helps you lose weight, increase energy, and helps with hypothyroidism.
Same with rhodiola. It's actually really good for weight loss as well, and it's really good for lowering your cortisol or your stress levels throughout the day.
Ginseng is an antioxidant and also helps improve your brain function.
And then maca root is another one that actually helps decrease hot flashes and then improves libido as well. So, fun facts.
You guys are like kids. Laughing. Is this mine? Do I talk about this?
Yep.
Osteoporosis. So osteoporosis, I believe it's 25% when you hit hit menopausal age. The statistics are that it will weaken our bones about 25%. And we do hear to take calcium because your bones need calcium to stay strong. But what shuttles the calcium into the bones and also helps you digest it is vitamin D. I told you guys we were going to talk a lot about vitamin D. It actually helps you just absorb the calcium because sometimes you won't always absorb it, and you need that fat-soluble vitamin, which is vitamin D. And I believe, did I have a study on that? I like statistics sometimes. I don't. But I would say the two takeaways for osteoporosis is if you're going to have calcium, take a good quality vitamin D with it for the absorption. When we talk about dryness, there's 3 vitamins that you want to look into: vitamin A, vitamin E, and vitamin B. Vitamin E will limit the production of free radicals, and those are the things that cause aging in us. Vitamin B will release boosting hormones. And then vitamin A is found in green leafy vegetables, sweet potato, squash, and that will help boost moisture. So if you do, I understand like some people experience a lot of dryness in this time, all over dryness. These would be items that you would want to eat more of. Maybe not the sunflower oil, but.
Who has fatigue issues? Anyone have that afternoon slump? Yeah, me too sometimes. All right, so here are the top causes of fatigue in women. This is actually by WebMD. Number 1 was thyroid problems, which we already covered and talked about. The second thing is heart disease, vitamin D deficiency, iron deficiency, sleep anemia, or lack of sleep. So we're going to talk about just some simple ways that we can help even with heart disease. So if you have known heart disease in your family, or hear this, if you are on a statin drug, it is important for you guys to take CoQ10 because statins turn off the production of CoQ10 in our body. CoQ10 is actually a really important antioxidant for your heart. It's actually going to protect your heart. So again, if you're on a statin, I highly recommend that you get on a CoQ10 as well. The second thing is getting more vitamin D. You can do that through foods or supplementation. Again, foods include
eggs. That would cover the dairy. Also sunlight, and then
mushrooms. Fish, and then, yeah, like she said, some dairy and legumes even, a little bit.
So those eggs up there, there's 3 of them, they're different colors. So the deeper the color, the more nutrients that yolk has. The top egg is grain-fed. Mind you, all these are cage-free eggs. I want you to know that. So the top one was grain-fed, cage-free egg. The one on the left, the chicken ate a mix of grains and grass, so it's a little darker, it's a little healthier. And then the one on the right, the chicken ate what it was supposed to, which is grass and insects only, and that is the deepest color on the right. So that's how you know you're getting the most nutrients. It doesn't matter the color of the shell. That's just, as far as I understand, I'm not a farmer, but it's the species. Yeah, the species of the actual chicken. So the color doesn't matter. Sometimes I get them all in different colors from our farmer.
And then for iron. So if you guys know that you're iron deficient, again, number 1 way to know is if you're ever tested via blood work. You can take an iron supplement. The one that I recommend is from Garden of Life. It's called Vitamin Code Raw Iron, so to boost your iron levels if needed, to help with fatigue issues. Or you can add more iron-rich foods, which the best thing would be organ meats. A little, yeah, not so good. But they're great for you. You can also do some nuts and seeds. Actually, almonds are a little bit higher in iron. Cilantro is actually going to be really good. But the best thing to do if you are iron deficient is to actually take a supplement.
Sleep apnea can definitely cause fatigue. Key factor here is when it comes to an obstructive sleep apnea, the one on the right is where you have a soft palate, and that is weak. It's weaker when you lay down, and it will, I don't want to say the word collapse, but it slightly closes a little bit than staying open. So it closes on your airway. When that happens, some people could stop breathing for, a few seconds, a few minutes. Dangerous, that's why we go on CPAP machines. And the reason is because it's pumping oxygen, and when that happens, you just have low oxygen, which does affect your heart. Your heart filters your oxygen. There are some things you can do natural things you can do for sleep apnea.
So number 1, you guys, weight loss is always going to be important, or exercise. These will actually help with a lot of health problems or issues, exercise. A soft palate exercise that I found that you could do is actually the soft palate exercise and the one at the bottom that says practicing open bowels. So both of those you could say 3 minutes a day. If you guys want to say it with me, we'll go with the soft palate exercises.
Let's do the top one.
The top one. You guys ready? All right.
Say those words.
Cool. Kill.
Coal.
Coil. Kale. Keel. And automobile. So you would repeat those things 3 times a day. If you or your partner might suffer from sleep apnea, it might be a good idea to start saying these exercises 3 minutes a day.
It's funny you say that. Most times I hear about sleep apnea, it's not from you, it's not from the person, it's from their partner. Fix it.
Fix their sleep apnea. The second thing is just practicing open vowels. So these words you don't actually have to say, but finish, like, be, tree, fly, and shout. These are things that you can mouth. So maybe when you're sitting at your desk and you're getting a little bit bored, you can start saying these things to help your soft palate develop and strengthen. Something else that you can do, if you're a patient, you can actually start to fix your cervical curve and help open up that airway. So one of the best things that you could do at night, and it works for some people, is to actually lay on your sleep rolls, which I know sometimes it's a little uncomfortable. So just work on it. Mary says, yes, I've been there, done that, struggled with them. It's hard, but now it gets better, right? Just push through the pain sometimes. But those sleep rolls will help open up the airways, just laying on those for a minimum of 15 minutes a night. And then the last thing is actually blowing up a balloon is gonna help you strengthen some of your muscles in your mouth and actually help your throat relax as you breathe in through your nose, which would be a really good thing.
And I think it's, oh yeah. Another key, so when we start to heal our sleep, I guess I would say, we have to start making good habits for sleep. So it's, first of all, developing a sleep routine. I looked up what Kelly Brogan is a thyroid specialist, and she talks about how she started going to bed with her kids at 9:30 and how that was part of the process of healing her autoimmunity, was getting better sleep. So I'm not telling you to go to bed at 9:30, but maybe try and go to bed a little bit earlier. I'm a culprit of staying up late and then maybe waking up earlier or not. I never used to be a morning person, and now I am. And I try to get my workouts done in the morning because it's easier that way. And sometimes that's at 5, sometimes it's at 5:30, and that's taken years to get to for someone who didn't used to do that.
So she was talking just about creating that healthy routine for yourself. So a nighttime routine, if you guys don't have one, is also a really important thing. Just like you have a morning routine sometimes, it's important to create that nighttime routine. So one of the best things that you guys could actually do is either turn off the TV or put down your phone, or maybe wear some blue light blocking glasses 30 minutes to an hour before you actually want to fall asleep to help de-stimulate your brain. You can also drink a cup of chamomile tea that will help soothe and relax you. Some other things like a pillow spray, lavender is really good, so you can spray your pillow with lavender spray, or even turning down the temperature. So actually studies have shown sleeping at a temperature of 60 to 67 degrees Fahrenheit is gonna be best for you guys to actually get some good, deep sleep. You said yes, that feels good.
Grab a blanket. Oh, and last thing is, another part of my process in creating that sleep routine is I had a TV in my bedroom, I took it out. So it's about creating that environment in your bedroom that your body realizes this is a place of rest and this is a place where you sleep. So it's physically effective because your body recognizes it that way. Digestive health, all right. Acid reflux, does anyone have acid reflux? Has struggled with it in the past? Okay. What your docs will tell you is acid reflux, generally they'll say, is because you have too much acid in your stomach, it's coming up. Here's a proton pump inhibitor, Nexium, what is it, purple? That is Prilosec, you can name them all. So I will tell you, those medications were invented to only be taken for 6 weeks at a time. That's what they were invented for. And now we take them ongoing because they make us feel better, but then you build a tolerance, you get dependent on them, and you have to either get more or change, you know, you were taking that one, now you gotta take the other one. So that's not the problem, because what we talk about is we say, get to the cause of the problem. It's not that you have too much acid, it's that you don't have enough. So there's a few things that could be the problem. If you don't have enough acid, you eat, your body tries digesting the food in your stomach, and what happens is it can't send it through because it's not fully digested, so then the food starts to creep back up your esophagus and it burns because it's coated with acid. You need more acid. So the fix for this would be either taking some apple cider vinegar prior to the meal or right as you're eating, because the apple cider vinegar will help you digest that food. So will digestive enzymes. In our office, we have Max GI, but digestive enzymes will help you break down the food. Another cause is there's your stomach and then your esophagus, and right where they meet, there's an esophageal sphincter. Basically, it closes the food, it tries to close the food in and let your stomach digest it. Sometimes when that's weakened, the food will come up again and burn. GERD happens for a long period of time. And also another fix would be the 3 R's that we talked about earlier, because we have to sometimes change what we eat, because there are triggers to acid reflux that will make it worse, usually some acidic foods, because there's, again, not enough acid to help break it down and push it through. I just found that crazy that those proton pump inhibitors were only developed for 6 weeks. Some symptoms of these issues would be bad breath. Sometimes, at worst, it will decay your tooth enamel. Whoop, that's not what I'm talking about. Sorry. So another thing is it's so hard to get off of those if you've been on them for years. And if you are trying to get off of them, it would be something that you slowly decrease over time taking. It's different for everyone, but it's not something that you take yourself off of cold turkey. It just makes it worse.
So a simple at-home test that you could do to test the amount of acid in your stomach is called the baking soda test. You would mix 1/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda in some cold water and drink that thing, or drink the solution first thing in the morning before you eat any food or drink anything else. And time yourself after you drink it. If you don't belch within 5 minutes, then you could be acid deficient. So you're not producing enough stomach acid at that point. So pretty fun test. Go ahead and try it and let me know what happens.
And again, lemon water will also help if you have acid reflux, drinking that throughout the day. I keep referring to it because it helps many things. Another thing that will help, if you don't have enough stomach acid, your stomach acid is a compound, we'll call it for short, HCl. And what helps make the acid in your stomach is actually salt. So having some of the Himalayan rock salt will help your stomach. Now, no table salt, because that actually has chemicals, it's been bleached, but the Himalayan rock salt still has minerals that will help with digestion. And then we talked about the rest, definitely getting probiotics in as well. IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, it usually can be triggered by feelings. If you've ever heard, I have a gut feeling, that's true. An estimated $1.6 billion is spent on it annually. That's a lot of money just for crap. So 75% of people who took vitamin D in one study, most of those people actually got a lot of good results when they took that, because actually vitamin D is, again, associated with your mood, and it's associated with your brain, and it's associated with those gut permeability as well. Because sometimes when you have IBS, you also have leaky gut. So vitamin D is also, if there's one thing you get or you should take, it would be vitamin D. Or check your levels first. Poop. All right. So if you do experience constipation, some people have chronic constipation, what you want to do, have you guys ever heard of a squatty potty? Okay, do you have one? It's okay, okay. So what a squatty potty is a stool, are you laughing?
They have one. Saying good job.
It's a stool that you put underneath your feet when you're sitting on your throne, and it brings your legs up just like that picture right there, because when it comes to your colon, you want it to be able to let everything out, and this makes it easier. When you're on an American toilet and it's 90 degrees like that first picture, it actually anatomically is your colon cannot get things out properly. So when you put it at that degree, it comes out much easier. Another thing you can do is a magnesium flush. Magnesium citrate would be the type of magnesium you want to get. You would take, if it's liquid, you would take 2 tablespoons, and then if you don't go then, you would take another teaspoon every 5 minutes until you went. And that's a good flush just to get things moving. And then obviously you want to keep drinking plenty of water because that can dehydrate you. If there's one thing, a lot of this information can be overwhelming. So if there's one thing you're eating still that you need to eliminate, it would be gluten. And that will also help with all gut issues. Aloe vera juice is good for gastric ulcers, any ulcer really. And it's also good for IBS because it helps soothe the colon. You also want to address stress and stressors that might trigger IBS. I said bad oils, that's like canola oil, cooking oils, and even some medications will also trigger the bowel stuff. Go ahead. Yep. Dr. J likes to say it tastes like dirty water.
Dirty water.
You could put it in a smoothie. You could, if you wanted to dilute it with good water as well, not tap water, but if you wanted to dilute it with drinking water, you could do that. Do you have any other
Did you say put it in a smoothie? Did you say put it in a smoothie?
Yeah.
Okay, no. Plug your nose and chug it really fast.
Really quick. You could give them allergies, but what we found sometimes in children is after sometimes 1 or 2 adjustments, it's the structure of their hips. And sometimes even though the kid is 5, it can be brought on upon like how they were delivered. It depends on the history of the child. If they're on any medication, some kids are on medication. We can talk after. Do you have a plant? As far as I know, the gel's topical.
Yes.
The juice is oral. You want to drink it. So I haven't seen a gel that's oral. Yeah.
For kids.
Pooper. We do have a supplement for kids that's called Pooper.
And yeah, so she was saying it works.
Adults can take it too. If you want that supplement, you can write this down, bioray.com, and the kids line. So go to bioray.com and go to kids, and that would be a great start for the 5-year-old. Yes, ma'am. I would just use it topical.
Go ahead, Keenan.
We'll talk. That's something about like detox. We'll answer. We are almost done. I know it is warm in here, and I'll answer that after, for sure.
He's like, yes. Essentially, yes.
Is Alexis here?
Yeah, I just made her move up front. Woo! This is Alexis,
Where are you
y'all. So we're actually I love Alexis. She just shared this past Monday at dinner, or last Monday at dinner, and it's the first time I got to hear her story live. But she was diagnosed in 2014 with lupus. She was only 19 years old at that time. And I'll let you tell your story, but this is Alexis. She's amazing. She came here because her aunt invited her to a dinner, and now she's here. If you guys don't know, lupus is another autoimmune disease. And yeah, let's hear it from you. You can tell it better than me.
She's powerful.
I thought she was going to keep going. Hello, everyone. My name is Alexis. I was diagnosed with lupus in 2014. I actually came to Dr. Nixon in that year when I was first diagnosed. My Aunt Lily had told me to come here. I came. I think I went to a dinner, but I didn't ever come back. And until everything got worse. So basically, they already told you what lupus is. It attacked my skin. Some people, it attacked their organs, like their heart. We know a lot of stars that deals with it, but we don't really see how it looks unless they're in a hospital or something. Mm-hmm. It affected my skin really, really, really bad. It got to the point where it all started when I was in high school. I had really bad nosebleeds. They told me it was eczema. They told me a lot of different things. So I was basically diagnosed the wrong things for a long, long, long time, until they finally came to a conclusion where they did a biopsy on my skin and they told me that it was full-blown lupus. At the time, I was running track. When I tell y'all I was the best in track. I was the best. I did not get beat by nobody. I was determined that I was going to win every race, and I did. So I went to the doctor, and he basically told me that I couldn't run track no more. So that right there just put me in a depressing stage. And I kind of gave up on myself, and I kind of really forgot what was my purpose on earth. Because when you're put in a position to where when you know you're good at something and then someone tell you that you cannot do it anymore, that right there just totally just blew my mind. And I was just like, why? Why me? And so they basically made me a guinea pig. They didn't know what to give me. They didn't really know about the disease. So everybody that was just coming in that was diagnosed with lupus, they was just giving them chemo. I had chemo before. And remind you, I'm like 19, 20 years old, taking chemo, hair coming out, taking all different kind of pills, steroids, everything, just messing my hormones up, giving me arthritis. I couldn't sleep at night. It was just a mess. So I finally came to a conclusion, was like, okay, this is enough. I got to go to Dr. Nixon. I tried to do everything else but go there. And I was like, you know what? I was like, you know what? I need this help. I need it. I'm not going to let this doctor tell me that I'm just going to just give up on track like that. But in the midst of it, I went and Dr. Nixon was basically like, okay, now we can do this if you're ready. And I'm like, I'm ready. I'm back and I'm fully loaded. I'm ready. So I did everything he told me to do. My aunt was like, you need to make sure you follow everything he tell you to do. Even though sometimes she didn't. She just encouraged me.
Call you out.
She just encouraged me to make sure I do everything. So I did everything he told me to do, and I started noticing that my face was clearing up. I stopped having flare-ups. The flare-ups that I used to have is when I would go outside in the sun. I could be outside for like 5 minutes, and my skin would just start breaking out red until like a butterfly all over my face. My skin started getting itchy. So when the summertime come, I used to be like, I hate the summer. I'm not ready for it. Because every summer I would get these real bad flare-ups, and it would lead to me having to go to the hospital. I would have bad nosebleeds. And that finally stopped when I went to Dr. Nixon. I haven't had any flare-ups at all. My skin have not broken out. Energy level has been back up to the top. And I know a lot of people like, dang, she's really back. I'm really back. My energy level is back. Everything, I've been getting great news. I recently went to the doctor today. Everything is getting back to normal. It's some things that I'm still working on, but it's not going to happen just that fast. But I'm willing to keep going. I'm not going to stop until I get back to normal.
So good. Thank you.
Come here, girl.
Thank you for sharing. So just to let you guys know, Alexis has only been a patient in the office for about 2 months now. And again, I want you guys to hear that your body was created so good, so well. It's not anything that we're doing. It's everything that she's putting into action that we've asked her to do. She is doing it. So you guys can absolutely do these things too. It's just taking those action steps, whether it's a small action step or a big one. You guys know that you're powerful and you know you were created to do this. You have a purpose. You're made good, you're made whole, okay? So if you're not a patient here and you are like, man, these stories are good, and how can I be a part of that, and what can I do? You can just talk to the team. We would love to help you get evaluated and get you adjusted and help your nervous system function to the best of its ability, to the absolute best. We want the best for you guys. You know that we love you. Our thing is we want to give you hope, health, and wholeness when it comes to your health, and that's why we do these workshops. That's why we do our events. That's why we do our dinners. We just love you guys, and we want to pour into you so that you can pour back out into the people that you love. Okay? We got one more topic, and then we're done. Stress.
Oh. So, thanks. You have kind of like 2 nervous systems in your body. You have sympathetic and parasympathetic. Parasympathetic is called rest and digest. Sympathetic is called fight or flight. That's the system that I was talking about that's protective. It's there if you see, well, we don't see bears anymore, but if you were camping and you saw a bear, this is the system that tells you you need to either fight it, or if you're like me, you're gonna flight, okay? The problem is when it comes in and it stays and it lives and you're living in this stage. This is what sympathetic dilates your pupils so you can see the bear or you can see where you're running. It also will pump more oxygen to the periphery of your body so that you can fight, so you can run. It pumps more oxygen to your muscles. It also will inhibit digestion, so you have no reason to be digesting when you're in that mode. It will also give you that stress response. It will increase cortisol. And then parasympathetic does the opposite of those things. Your pupils are normal because you have no reason to like have, see the big bear and run. It actually helps you digest. When you're just sitting here, you should be digesting your lunch or your dinner at this point. And it's what keeps you calm and relaxed. That's what should be on most of the time. Chronic fatigue syndrome is when people are living in the fight or flight, and then it also happens from food additives as well. And a lot of kids now are starting to live in this because of their environment, because of their diet, and because of us. So it's important to know that you do have these, and we need to only have the sympathetic turned on in those protection modes. We don't want it to go away. We just need to turn it off.
So some ways that it can affect your body is your skin. You can actually lose hair, have dry skin, acne, or delayed healing of wounds.
This is where severe anxiety, depression, where we eat out of emotion and irritability come in.
When you're stressed, like especially during the holiday season because you're running around a lot, you have decreased immunity, which is why people tend to get sick more often during the wintertime. And when they're in high levels of stress, your immune system is weaker.
Your heart rate increases, and the risk of heart attack and stroke will also increase with it.
You have decreased hormone production, which also means worse like PMS states for a lot of women and worse menopausal symptoms.
And then this comes into gut issues as well with diarrhea, constipation, indigestion, bloating. Sound like a commercial.
And then your bones, weaker bones, and decreased calcium absorption. So when you're in a state of stress, you guys can see that it not only just affects you mentally, it can actually affect your entire body, every single system in your body.
Yeah, and side note with lungs, I've given a lot of breathing exercises out recently because when we breathe with our chest, it actually brings us more into a sympathetic mode. Like when we get stressed out during the day or at work or whatever it is, you start breathing and your chest rises and you actually are like this. And actually what we're supposed to do, if there's any singers here, I am not, but you're supposed to breathe through your diaphragm and your stomach. And as women, sometimes we don't want to poke out our stomach to breathe, but that is the natural way to open your lungs and bring them back. So if you're laying down at night, you don't have to do this during the day, but if you're laying down at night, just practice that. Like practice breathing through your stomach and not having your chest rise just by putting your hands here.
So that's actually one of the ways that you can help your body de-stress is deep breathing exercises or meditation. If you guys have ever heard of Headspace, it's a good app that you can use for a 10-minute easy meditation. Our team did one this afternoon. So that's a really good way. De-stress, break up with me. Just like a sense of humor or laughter is actually a really good way to de-stress your body and will actually help you calm down and relax. So even finding a YouTube video that's gonna make you laugh. Or if you guys have ever done this for yourself, just literally start laughing out loud just because you're kind of weird and out of it, but you want to make yourself laugh. And if you try it for long enough, you'll actually start laughing at yourself. So it works. It really does. It's kind of weird. Stress, some other things that you...
I tell jokes too, if you want a joke.
Or you can just find a really funny friend like Dr. T. She'll make you laugh. She loves the jokes. Something else that you can do is Epsom salt bath with lavender oil. It's actually very soothing and relaxing. So this will actually help also decrease with joint stiffness and muscle aches and pains. And then again, less stress with exercise. So doing any sort of exercise, even walking outside, but again, max T3, starting that maybe once or twice a week and bumping your way up from there. Some other ways are to get creative and crafty.
So personally, like if you journal, I've started journaling. All these things, if you don't do them, they take practice. So journaling, some people like photography. Just because you're not an artist doesn't mean you're not creative. You're actually built to be a creative. So this actually releases, it actually decreases your cortisol. In some cancer hospitals, they have like adult coloring books because it puts processing in a different side of your brain to where it doesn't bring up those that high stress, strung out, and sympathetic mode. So you're born to be creative. You're born to discover that in yourself. And I journal. I bike, exercise. Dr. J likes to lift heavy things.
I love weightlifting. I do like to lift weights. That's probably my biggest thing, but also trying to journal. I used to draw and color when I was a kid, but I kind of moved away from that. So trying to just get back to different things that you guys can do. Even trying something new. Somebody said they love cross-stitching. I have no idea what that is, but you can cross-stitch. You can knit. I tried knitting one time, and I dropped a lot of holes, so my friends ended up with holy scarves for Christmas. So don't, just find your niche and go with it, whatever it is.
Yeah, your mom knits.
My mom knits.
Our mom does all the cool stuff.
Crafty things. I'm not like my mom, not crafty. All right, and then our last thing is just some upcoming events. So
I do Shop with a Doc at Trader Joe's. This upcoming one will be the 23rd, next Thursday at 8 a.m. And then September 20th is the one after that at 8 a.m. at Trader Joe's.
This Thursday.
Sorry, this Thursday. And then the next one will be the September 20th. There you'll learn more in depth about how to read labels, how to pick certain foods, and what those foods will do in your body.
And then our upcoming community dinner. So if you guys want to learn more about the nervous system and how you can get involved in Twin City Health and how the nervous system actually plays a role in your health, then you are more than welcome to come to our community dinner. It's going to be at Diamondback Grill on September 10th. It's typically a Monday night. We'd love for you guys to join us. There are sign-up sheets where you guys checked in today. Sign-up sheets for that. And then we also actually brought those non-toxic guides with you guys today. If you were taking a picture of the products or you just had any questions, we actually have a guide for you. If you guys don't have that, you can pick it up on your way out. But
yeah,
we really appreciate you guys being here.
Us.
We love y'all. If you have questions, we'll be here. But thank you.